ultimately, Penny introduced us, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
I saw
Yep.
Penny the other night. I've seen Penny, I think, twice in 1 week. She's such a sweetheart
Yeah, she is. She's such a go-getter and hustling out there.
and a great connector. Well, we'll probably talk a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit about that and some of what we talk about and everything. So, well, here we go, Serena. Thank you very much for jumping on your episode of My Smart Podcast, and we're just going to dive right into it. Drained to energize. Tell me, what is that all about?
All right. So what it's about, it's a one-on-one program that I do with women. And what I do is I help anxious and overwhelmed career-driven women to find more peace and fulfillment so that they can live a happier and healthier life. And what I see is a lot of women out there are feeling just all this anxiety and this chest pressure and this overactive mind, and they're reacting instead of responding. And so I'm just super excited and love this field so much. It's very, very fulfilling. And that's in essence what it's about in a short version.
Right now, what was the catalyst to get you started with this? Is this come about from just previous experiences or even previous careers?
Yeah, it's developed over the last multiple years where I have went through training in hypnosis and NLP and rewiring the subconscious mind, and I've overcome my anxiety and my depression. And it's it's really amazing to actually find out that there are ways in which we can really take this into our own hands and be able to either completely overcome it or greatly reduce it. I also had a very overactive mind, which was definitely great for business. I was that hustler. I was super goal orientated. Reached some fantastic financial uh, mile markers in my life, and once I reached those, I realized, wow, like I thought I would feel different now, or I would relax now, or I would feel more fulfilled. And what actually ended up happening is the the needle kept moving, and I realized there's so much more to life than just this constant um high stress, high overwhelm, hustle nonstop. And yeah, it's been amazing to actually feel much more peaceful, much more calm, and to be able to take my own life into my own hands and to be able to feel fulfilled and be on my soul journey path. So that's what I'm also helping other women do.
Serena, it does sound great. And you mentioned something that really caught my ear: move the needle.
Mm.
It seemed like the needle kept moving as you'd accomplish one thing, or maybe you'd have another struggle or another struggle. It's like
Yep.
the needle keeps moving and stress keeps accumulating, or maybe activities keep accumulating. So, how do you start your day? Let's how do you start your day? How do you set those
Mm.
intentions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the way that I start my day is I start off with doing a morning meditation, visualization, and I don't just jump on the phone and get on to social media. I don't check my emails right away. I don't check any notifications. I'm going to keep that theta brainwave state continuing as long as I can in the morning. And that is the time that I do some of my own self hypnosis. I do like a meditation and that visualization, which is so powerful. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that the mind doesn't know the difference between actual reality and what you visualize. and every single thing in your life had to start first in your mind as an actual even possibility. So one of the things that I do is to visualize different types of things that I am projecting into the future that will eventually align with my present moment. And it's gotten so beautiful that it becomes very vivid. And when you're usually starting with visualizations, it can be pretty just black and dark in there. But when you really start to fine tune it, it becomes very it almost feels like you're living that reality in there. Then I get up, I do juicing in the morning. I juice fresh celery, carrots, apples, spinach, ginger, depending on what concoction I'd like to make. And then I do some stretches, stretching my body, my neck, my hips. And then I do a morning walk. So that's pretty much encapsulates what I do in the morning. And so as you can see, it's more than just how do we nurture our mind and our emotions, but it's also how do we nurture our body and what are we putting into our body. That plays a part in the whole formula.
Oh, sure it does. And it's tough. It's tough to balance. Now, as an entrepreneur, talk a little bit about. And I honestly don't know what you may have been into prior to social media, but our first conversation was about social media marketing, promotion, event promotion. Tell us a little bit about that business, because that's the 9 to 5. That's or rather that's the bread and butter, right? The drain to
That's
energize is more of a
one.
labor of love.
Yeah, I suppose. I have a company called Royal Marketing, and I've been in and out of marketing for over 20 years, been self-employed for 20 years, so marketing's always been a thing.
Mhm.
It is definitely something I'm very good at. But yeah, I do feel that God is universe, whatever we want to call this greater higher force, is pushing me into helping people uh in the way of this drain to energize. I have just recently launched that program this year. And so my other companies, the marketing company, the real estate company, and those are great, but I have teams, I have people that pretty much handle those. I'm 100% focused on this drain to energized, and this is really where my life path is going. Absolutely. Yeah. That's where I feel the most fulfilled. And something too where you can identify if something is in alignment is if when you're working on it you feel energized, you feel filled up, excited, ready to keep working on it, or when you're working on it you're feeling drained, you're feeling exhausted, and it just feels like the time is just going so slow. And you can tell what your higher self, your highest and best version of yourself really wants you to be focused on and working on. And that's what I've experienced for the last 2 years as universe, God, force has been really pushing me to another way to serve. And that's the other thing that I realized is before I was very, very money driven, goal driven, gonna do this, and that, and conquer that, and this. And what I realized is that is just not a fulfilling way to live long term. Now, where I come is from my heart, and I wake up when I prime my day. So, like with the visualizations, with meditation, I prime my day. And part of that priming is how can I serve you today, God? And that then goes in so many different ways because how can I serve one of your other children, God? How can I serve you, Serena, your highest and best good? And so I've let go, I've surrendered, and I now know that I don't have to even worry about anything. When you are truly in alignment and you can trust yourself and you can trust your creator, you're on a whole nother wavelength. And that's where I've found myself now. And this feels incredible to
So
finally be here.
you talk about your story has a bit of you made a pivot. How would you suggest someone else? And I've got to say, I know you got this geared towards the ladies, but I think you'd probably agree. An awful lot of guys have those same, just a million thoughts all at the same time, and all the things they're trying to either promote or create or grow, as well as protect and nurture as far as their families and whatever they already have built. So, I mean, what's your best suggestion, or maybe what are some tools to help some other ladies pivot? Maybe they're in a rut. Maybe they're in a job that is a routine, or a job or a lifestyle that's kind of tough to pivot. So how do you pivot? Is it just as simple as you just take action and take a chance and go?
It certainly can be. It depends on their situation, and that's one of the things I really love, is that I'm able to really take the time to sit down and figure out a step-by-step process. So if they do feel like this job that they're doing is just solely for money, but there's something that their heart is really wanting to push them towards, then we're going to create a plan. And that plan could be different for a lot of people. It depends. Do they have kids? Are they a single mom? Do they have any money saved up? It just kind of depends. But the most important thing is to validate. That is the number one, becoming aware of it and actually saying, okay, I realize that this is something that is going to change my life. I'm going to actually feel better if I'm doing something that I am in alignment with. Then we can figure out the necessary action steps of what it would take to get them into whatever that might be. But that's not how it is for everyone. Some people are happy. They might be an attorney. They might be a doctor. They might be a nurse. And they love what they do, but they are tired, sick and tired of feeling drained, tired, overwhelmed. Their mind is going berserk. They don't ever feel any sort of peace inside of themselves. They find themselves bottling up their emotions and taking it out on their husband or their kids. So what we do with that is we work through the subconscious mind. We identify what is going on, what's blocked, what's causing these issues, and then we create action steps to be able to eliminate that. I've actually gotten my own state of mind to where I can actually completely stop all thoughts in my head. And that is a complete blessing. So I have some really cool, quick, fast hacks to be able to create that distance, to start to train the mind, create the neural pathways in order to create this type of life. Ultimately, we're running on a program. And so it's really, truly understanding what the program is, how to hack the program, and how to rewire the program.
Yeah, no doubt. And it might sound kind of funny. Like I kind of cracked a little smile where, hey, I can slow my brain down and I don't have a single thought in it. I almost shifted to politics and be like, that sounds like the federal government. But maybe we'll tell that joke a little bit later. But that is valuable. That's really the art of meditation. And I got to be careful saying that. I'm not an expert in meditation and a lot of these practices. But the ability to be in the moment, to stop that worry about the future, to stop the fret about the past is very, very important. And you were talking about some hacks. Can you share? I know we don't want to give away all of the, secrets from drain to energize right here. You want to definitely get some folks into your program and bring some real value. But if you could share just a few hacks that are in the moment, if someone's going through their day, I don't care if they're working or with family or driving down the road or even waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and that brain is just cranking, what are some really good hacks to get you
Yeah.
back in the moment and centered?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the things that we do is we work on how to become the observer instead of the experiencer. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that a person can get themselves to a point where instead of being completely consumed by the mind, they're now literally almost like a third perspective, seeing the thoughts come. And what's very fascinating is thoughts create the emotion. So some people will wake up feeling super anxious, their chest is hurting, they might even have a panic type of an attack. And it took the thought there first in order to generate the emotion. And thoughts are only a bunch of memories that are in our storage in the program. So, one of the things that someone can do if they're finding themselves feeling super overwhelmed, overactive mind, panic, attack, any of this sort of thing is a very quick 2-step process that is so amazing. Okay, so basically what happens is, so thoughts are going. You say, "Who are you?" Asking the thoughts. So then you'll hear usually, "Me." Like, duh, it's me. Then this is the magic question. Who is me? And the thoughts completely stop. Why? Because the mind, which we could call the egoic identity self, which is the false self, it's not the true self, is only running on a program of memories, habits, beliefs, and it may or may not be working for you. There could be a safety mechanism in there. That's what the mind tries to do, is keep you safe, which was great when we were out there, trying to flee from any bears or lions. But in this day and age, that reptilian part of the brain can become more problematic than anything at all. So if we grew up in a household that was chaotic, there was yelling, screaming, the little child, the little girl didn't feel safe, she's going to take on certain things that she learned through her childhood to make her safe, such as becoming a pleaser, becoming codependent, not having boundaries, having self-worth issues, because she was never properly nurtured and taken care of. So then there's a whole host of problems that causes later on in life, and why so many women find themselves in a state where they just hate life.
I think you hit the nail right on the head when you talk about self-worth. That is a very broad scope comment. It's a very broad scope conversation. I've been recently doing a little bit more study into procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not realized that it's not that every bit of procrastination and holding is due to something traumatic or solidified from the past, like you're talking about, some kind of a mental routine, a mental practice that got kind of set in at a very young formative age, right? So how do you address these deep-seated things? I mean, in the moment, to say, who is this? It's almost like, who gave you permission to talk to me like that? It's almost, you can almost make it a little jovial, right? But taking it into a daily practice, weekly practice, monthly, so there's real production from the real self, as you call it, when that ego is pushed away. We've heard of, if our audience has not heard of ego death, embrace ego death, right? So how do you take it further and keep your team, your what would you call it? Not really your patients. I know it's not a medical facility or anything, but your members, your partners, your clients, whatever you might call them. How do you get them to a place where they can sustain that feeling of high self-worth?
Well, the first thing is by taking baby steps. Depending on how deeply rooted this is, it's going to take time. So it's, for instance, why the program is a minimum of 12 weeks. They say it takes up to 21 days to change a habit, but that's a kind of more of a surface level type of habit. It usually takes a lot longer than that. So it requires really monitoring and tracking and becoming the inquisitor of every single thought. And what most people find out is that they are spending much of their day self-sabotaging by their thoughts, criticizing themselves, criticizing others, judging others, putting themselves down, obsessing on the past, not forgiving, future obsessing, not feeling that they have reached where they need to reach, that they blame themselves for things that are completely outside their control. So what we have to do is we have to take an inventory. So that's one of the beginning parts of the process, is becoming the questioner and becoming aware of all of the thoughts that are going on. Now, the other thing that is extremely powerful is by understanding energy, vibration, and frequency. So we are all energy. This is all just made of atoms. This is all energy. Everything is emitting a frequency. So we really dive in deep on Dr. David Hawkins and the map of consciousness to be able to associate the map of consciousness with our patterns in our thinking. Now, I have the map of consciousness right over here. I could perhaps grab it. Or I don't know if we can put it on the screen on post editing. So basically what it is at the bottom of this map of consciousness is the shame, is the guilt, is the blaming, all of the very low frequency states of mind, therefore state of emotion as well, because those go hand in hand together. And then as we move up the scale, we move up in frequency and vibration. And we want to get up over 200 on this scale, which is acceptance. And then 350 is getting to forgiveness. And then we move up into love and enlightenment and joy, these really beautiful states of mind and emotional states that we can put ourselves in. So then we learn that we actually have the power and the control in our own life to decide, now that I am the observer of my mind, and it takes a little time to get there. That's why we have to do so much of the questioning. And
it doesn't happen overnight. Not at all, does it?
What's that?
It doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No, it does not happen overnight. We have to be patient with ourselves. We have to have a lot of self-compassion. And that's usually what we have to really work on, is the self-love. Many times we have to work on boundaries. There's many women that are major people pleasers. And I mean, I literally was I was a type of person where I cared more about the other person and their feelings and emotions over mine. If I was
Mhm.
having
I
something
see that a
happen to
lot.
me, I would no, like I don't really like this, but I don't want to embarrass this person. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to reject them. I don't want to abandon them. And therefore I was doing it to myself. So with my women in my program, we end up discovering and uncovering what is it for them. What do we need to work on for them? It's completely customized to each person. But once someone really understands and we can do some hypnosis sessions, do some reprogramming, do some habitual changes, then they can make a conscious decision, especially with the map of consciousness. So it's on a scale from 50 up to 1,000. And it's all based on essentially emotions. Energy in motion is what emotions are. Energy in motion, which are created by a thought. So if we find ourselves in a moment where we're shaming ourselves or God, I'm so stupid, I should have known better, or we start doing that to somebody else, boom, we can catch ourselves and then we can make a decision. No, I'm not going to drop my frequency. I'm not going to stay here. Because the only way to create and manifest and actually have a fantastic, joyful life has nothing to do with the external world. It's not about the cars, the house, how many businesses you got, if you have the best husband in the world, the kids, having another baby ain't gonna be your happiness. It might give you a spark of it, but fulfillment, joy, and peace is an inside job. And
Mm.
it ultimately depends on what frequency, what energy you want to vibrate at. And then that's a choice.
Yeah, no, it seems a lot easier to love others than love yourself a lot of the times. I wanted to,
Right.
something that you mentioned a few minutes ago on that, and we can definitely. What we'll do is let's put a link to that map in the
Yeah.
comments for both, in both Facebook and YouTube and everything. Now, Serena, do you have with Drain to Energize? Do you have? You say this is a 12-week course. Are there workshops? Are there time frames? When is the next 12-week course kind of kicking off? Maybe what's the schedule on that?
So I don't do it as like a course of like oh, come and buy my course and go watch your videos and stuff like that. No. This is an actual one-on-one mentorship program. So you get to actually work with me one-on-one. We meet every single week. And then my ladies have contact with me 24/7 during this time. And this is an entirely customized to them. I do have my steps and tools and things I'm certified in and trained in that we can utilize in the toolkit. But ultimately, what we're going to do is we're going to really go deep into the subconscious mind and
Mhm.
reveal what needs to be addressed, what needs to be worked on. And that's where the power's at. Because sometimes people don't even realize what it is. They might have an idea or whatnot, but sometimes there's things way, way deeper that
Yeah,
need to get to the root, not just the symptoms.
I agree. I agree. You in talking about that map also, it seemed like, you were going through scores of 200, 300, 400, kind of those lower scores were in those areas of self, not anything going out at all. It needs to start with the self before it can start to serve others, right?
Yeah.
The stronger we are, the more we can do for others. The less strong we are, be it tangible or otherwise, the less we're able to help others. And I would even submit, the weaker we are, the more prey we fall to the nefarious entities out there. And there are those controlling entities, be it sometimes business, sometimes government, sometimes regulation, sometimes even people that aren't doing things our way, and that maybe they're involved in our lives a little bit too much. One of my favorite sayings, and a lot of people watching here probably have heard me say this a bunch: Serena, why are families screwed up? Because there's people in them.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so it sounds kind of funny, but it also, to me, it always sounds very like acceptive. Like, all right, I get it. I'm not perfect either. I'm probably the one that's the screwed up family member, sometimes. So, but well, let me punch up here some information for people to reach out to you at, Instagram at Drain to Energize, and your website there. So I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about in the future. If you've got any updates at all, I'd like to pop those on this in the comment section here as time goes on. And I'd love to do this again. Let's definitely stay in touch. I'd love to see how Drain to Energize gets from where it is today, and sky's the limit for you, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute blast. Jeff, thank you.
Right on. We'll do it again. And everybody, please don't hesitate to reach out to Serena. You know darn well that we all work very, very hard at whatever we do. And you need a break. You need to take care of yourself. And Serena's got some real good brain food for you. So again, Serena, thank you so much for coming on. And I look forward to talking with you again very soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay. And then we'll just, this thing kind of clipped